everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. So for today's activity, we're not going to be doing a DIY, but instead we're going to be learning how to make cheese quesadillas. And I chose to do cheese quesadillas because since we're stuck inside and still shelter in place, sometimes it's good to cook our own foods if we have access to the stove and ingredients. And this is a really easy food to make if you're bored or hungry, or you are kind of tired of making sandwiches or anything that you've been making consistently. So I'm going to show you the ingredients that you're going to need to make cheese quesadillas, and we're going to get started. So before we begin, we're going to first have to wash our hands in warm water for 20 seconds, okay? Lift up my sleeves. So here, I'm going to turn a little bit of the water on. I'm going to lather up. We're going to do this for 20 seconds. After you've rinsed, or after you've lathered your hands, go ahead and rinse everything off. So now that our hands are clean and ready to go, I'm going to show you all again the ingredients that you're going to need. So first, what you're going to need is, of course, a pan. That's what we're going to cook our quesadillas on or with. Then you're going to need a spatula. I'm actually going to be using chopsticks because I like to use that. That's my preference. And then you're gonna need some cheese. I'm using Colby Jack cheese, but you can use mozzarella cheese, you can use any other cheese that you like. And then I'm gonna be using corn tortillas. You can use flour, but I personally like corn. And as an option, you can add oven roasted shredded chicken breast, or you can do a different type of meat, or for those of you who are vegetarian, you can opt out the meat entirely. So while we wait for our pan to heat up, you're going to want it to heat up for about 30 seconds to a minute. And there's two ways that you can determine whether your pan is ready to put your tortilla on. The first step I like to do, but also you want to be safe because we want to be safe in everything, right? Is I take my hand and I kind of hover over the pan just a little bit, and you can feel the heat emitting from the pan, so that's how you can kind of tell if it's ready. The second method that you want to do is, or you can do, is if you go ahead and go to your sink, you can turn on the water, get a little bit of water on your fingers, and you're going to do what I call the flick. So you're going to flick some water onto your pan, and if the water sizzles, then you know that it's ready to go. And so my first method, I can tell that my pan is pretty heated. You see that I'm keeping a healthy distance between my hand and the pan, just so that it doesn't burn me too bad, or burn me at all. So this one's pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and take my corn tortilla. I'm going to go ahead and put it down. And then you're going to want to heat your tortilla on one side for about 30 seconds to a minute. Okay, so after about 30 seconds to a minute, you're going to take your chopsticks or your spatula. I'm using chopsticks, like I said, because that's my preference. And you're going to lift up your tortilla. You want it to be brown on the other side. I'm going to use my clean hands, and if it's not brown or what we call crispy, then it's not essentially done. But for this step, I don't personally like my quesadillas super crispy, but I also want to give the cheese time to melt. So because mine is not entirely crispy yet, you can kind of see that it's starting to crisp. I'm going to go ahead and still flip it. So if you're using chopsticks to flip your tortilla, you're going to want to just grab the corner and flip it. And if you're using a spatula, just grab it by the bottom and flip it on the other side. So you can use either or. So once you flip your tortilla, you're gonna go ahead and grab your cheese. I changed mine to the Mexican style cheese because I also like Mexican style cheese. It's just Monterey Jack, cheddar, queso, quesadilla, and some cheese that I can't say. But I'll show you that later. So you're gonna go ahead and put your cheese, a handful amount of your cheese, as much as you want. Okay, so my cheese is about 50% melted. At this point, how I like to, again, do my quesadilla is I'm going to take one end and fold it in half. Go ahead, be careful if you're using your hand. You don't want to burn yourself. But mine is pretty crispy. So it doesn't have to be a perfect fold. but a nice gold. Okay, so it's super crispy as you can see, and you can let it continue to heat up at this point, but this is a little too crispy for me, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the heat, and I'm gonna transfer my quesadilla to a plate. So I'm gonna take my spatula, go ahead and pick up my quesadilla and plate it. So at this step, you can use different condiments. You can dip your tortilla. You can dip your quesadilla in guacamole, you can dip it in sour cream, you can add tomatoes or pico de gallo, whatever you like. This is really up to you. But I'm gonna very carefully go ahead and show you all how cheesy that is. So these are the ingredients for step 2. This is actually the way that my partner does his quesadilla, so he's gonna show you that in this next clip. Okay, so for this method of making quesadilla, he's gonna be using 2 corn tortillas instead of 1 like I did, and we're gonna be including chicken. Like in the beginning, like I said, you don't have to use chicken, but if you want to, you can. And also he will be using gloves because he is making food for me and himself. After he's washed his hands, he put on gloves so that he can protect himself when making food for other people, and we know that we always want to do that so that we are safe. So he's putting it on a 4, and we're gonna see. So first he's gonna cook the chicken. He's going to put a slice of butter and just a dab of oil. We used corn oil, but can you use any other oil?
Yeah.
Okay, you use any other oil. Next you're gonna put some chicken. Thing of water, and you can kind of see the water sizzle like what I was talking about, so you know it's ready.